Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Monday, April 13th, 2026. This is Truth News. I am Walter Bass. Normally, I do research, homework, and take notes in my notebook here. I got all of my shows I've ever done in this notebook. And today, I literally did not have time. I worked all day. And before I even got home, I get a phone call saying that Donald Trump has depicted himself as Jesus Christ. And I was thinking to myself, no. I mean, he's crazy, he's sick, he's evil, but surely not. Surely the world's most famous child rapist would not actually compare himself or depict himself as the one and only Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And lo and behold, I come home, I turn on YouTube, and it is everywhere. It is everywhere, from MS Now to Kyle Kulinski to Midas Touch, everywhere. Keith Edwards. And he has a demon in the background of the picture. So, a lot of people, and I've said this, and I've been saying this, Donald Trump is the Antichrist. Donald Trump, the world's most famous child rapist, is that kid that just loves to destroy stuff. I had friends like this when I was a kid. We've all known people, children or people, who just like breaking stuff. It makes them feel good. They don't want to use it properly. They don't want to entertain themselves with it. Whether it be technology, they misuse it. Whether it be cars, they misuse it. People, they misuse them. We've all known people like this, and he is one of them. So before we get into tonight's show, let's always pay homage to the people responsible for these videos that I make, as it is day 1677 since my son was kidnapped, violently sexually assaulted, and murdered by serial child killer State Judge Kelly Hansen of Marietta, which is in Riverside County, California. That man right there has 16, nearly 17 years worth of victims of children. He has kidnapped, raped, tortured, murdered, and sold using his position as a state judge to do so. And because of how many victims he has and how long he's been doing it, when I reported him to the FBI, Homeland Security, and every other law enforcement agency between California and Oklahoma City, they decided to retaliate against me and attack me to silence me. Because it is much easier to silence the one than to prosecute all of the victims that this state judge has, Kelly Hansen, which we all know Riverside County is a corrupt terrorist regime posing as a county government, whether it's Sheriff Chad Bianco, who murders inmates in his jail system and covers it up, traffics guns for the Sinaloa cartel, launders money for the Sinaloa cartel, whether it's Greg Laurie of Harvest Church selling children from Riverside to Romania for 20 years, that's documented. On and on and on. And this is where we're at. It's 2026 in the United States of America. Our president is the world's most famous child rapist, being completely humiliated on the world stage. I'm talking everyone from Iran to UK to the Pope. Nobody likes this guy. Nobody ever really liked him. I think a lot of people were duped and conned. I was one of them. I honestly believed he was going to get rid of this shadow government, the deep state, the corrupt intelligence agencies, the FBI, all of these so-called federal law enforcement agencies that are really running our country. I mean, that's who's really running America. It's the CIA, it's the NSA, it's the FBI, Homeland Security. That's who runs America. These cannibals and pedophiles and rapists, from Eric Swalwell to Donald Trump to Pete Hegseth, Corey Mills, Tony Gonzalez, they're just actors, puppets. They're frontmen. It's a front, it's a facade, it's a fugazi. So tonight we're just going to do a raw show, no notes, no choreographed, nothing like that. We want to address, first of all, the blasphemy of Jesus by the President of the United States of America. Now, I want to remind everyone that Easter Sunday, this same man, and I use that word loosely, man, because he's a demonic creature. He's not a human being. On Easter Sunday, was dropping F-bombs and threatening to wipe out an entire civilization of human beings. 90 plus million people he threatened to obliterate on Easter Sunday. He offended the Muslim religion by mocking them with praise Allah. He has threatened the Pope, the head of the Catholic religion, and now he is blaspheming Jesus Christ. Let me tell you, I lived in New York City for 10 years. I had a lot of Muslim friends. I had a white Muslim friend named Abdullah Solimez from Turkey, and just a solid, upstanding person. I never understood anything wrong with the Muslim faith. They're very devout. Ramadan, they fast for 30 days. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. I fast regularly. They say their prayers. I believe it's 5 times a day. They have a code they live by. Now, I understand the Quran. I've read the Quran. And there are some pretty outrageous things in the Quran that I don't agree with. But that's not for me to judge. It's not my faith. It's not my beliefs. And as long as they are not bothering me, I don't bother people that don't bother me. I don't care what anyone does. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. I disagree with homosexuality. It's an abomination to God according to Leviticus 18:22. As long as if they want to do that in their bedroom, that's their prerogative. It has nothing to do with me. In the words of Steve Harvey, and I'm not a big fan, but when he says, if you want to go to hell, bye, what does that got to do with me? I mean, my job is to live by the Bible the best I can. And I will talk to people about Jesus who want to accept him. If you don't, you don't. That's it. That's your choice. I can't make anyone do anything. So, the President of the United States has offended the 3 biggest religions in the world. The Muslims, the Catholics, and now the followers of Jesus Christ, whether it be Christian, Protestant, whatever the case may be. There is one religion he hasn't said anything about. The Oompa Loompa Tiny Hat Gang. Have you noticed that? That little country the size of New Jersey, he's not said a word about them. But he can mock the Muslim faith. He can threaten the Catholics. And he can blaspheme the Christians and their God, Jesus Christ. Which, according to the Bible, there's only one God, and that's the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who is the way, the truth, the life. No one comes to the Father except by him. That's it. That is it. Everything outside of that, the Bible said, let there be no mediator between man and God except Jesus Christ. Which means not a pastor, not a priest, not a rabbi, none of them. So, I am really just at a loss for words at the ignorance, the arrogance, the hubris, and the evil displayed by Donald J. Trump, the world's most famous child rapist. And that's the truth. That's the truth. The whole world knows he has raped and murdered children. I mean, there's so many testimonies. It's in the files. It's documented. FBI 302 forms. Thoroughly documented. His best friend, we all know who that was for years. We all know what he did. So, you know, Eric Swalwell, who raped women, he's a rapist, is dropping out of the gubernatorial race in California, so he's not running for governor, and they're saying he's going to quit Congress. So if a man is a manager at Walmart or AutoZone or, Starbucks, whatever business, if he's a manager there and he rapes 6 women, is that an offer? Is that an option to just quit your job and it goes away? Because that seems to be a pattern with our public servants, our taxpayer-funded public servants, that when they rape women, when they rape children, when they murder, like Tony Gonzalez setting a woman on fire, burning her alive, that he was having an affair with, that's documented. It's an option for them to just quit or resign, and then it all goes away. I don't understand that. I don't understand how human beings, no matter what their employment status or their financial status, are allowed to rape women and children. And I'm going to tell you, as a survivor of domestic violence, I couldn't imagine the toll rape takes on a woman. I know what I went through with my ex, who beat on me, cheated on me, emasculated me, humiliated me, just really psychologically and emotionally tortured me. And I still deal with that, not deal with it, because I've processed it, I've recovered, but it is definitely a scar that never heals. And I'm a man. So I couldn't imagine the toll for a woman that being forced to do things with your body against your will and having to live with that the rest of your life. And I can imagine that every sexual encounter after something like that happens would almost spark the nightmare of it all over again, whether it was consensual, wanting or willing, whatever the case may be. I can only imagine. And these people, the Eric Swalwells, the Tony Gonzalez, the Corey Mills, the Pete Hegseths, the Donald Trumps, this is their modus operandi. This is what they're known for. It's like a calling card. And it's not just them, it's all through our government. State judges, prosecutors, law enforcement. I mean, you can Google stories at Riverside County Sheriff's Department, deputies. Alexander, I forget his last name, raped a volunteer woman, a police officer raping women. Who do you report that to? What do you do with that? I mean, the Epstein survivors are 30 years into seeking justice for being raped as children. And they have been retaliated against, attacked, ridiculed, mocked, humiliated, terrorized. I mean, how much will the government do to get their way against the will of we the people of the United States of America? How much will the United States government do? I mean, look at Charlie Kirk. Candace Owens and Baron Coleman are still investigating this, still uncovering facts and evidence that Tyler Robinson is definitely not the man who did that to Charlie Kirk, and we all know who did it. I'm considering having shirts made in blue with yellow letters that say, "I survived the FBI." because I have survived the FBI. I went to the FBI Monday, September 13th, 2021, to report the kidnapping of Grayson Bass, my son, 7 years old. 7 years old. And because the judge that I showed you earlier has been doing this for 16, almost 17 years and has thousands of victims, he's like Larry Nassar, the gymnastics coach. He's like Jim Jordan from Ohio State or an Eric Swalwell. These people just get away with it for so long, they feel entitled to get away with it. And when someone steps up and speaks out and says, no, I'm not going to let you get away with this, they immediately are offended and think they're entitled to get away with crimes against humanity. It's sick. It is 2026 in the United States of America. I haven't seen or heard from my child since 2021. I'm told he's dead since 2024. Laughed at, ridiculed, mocked. We have a child rapist and a murderer as president, and he murdered 165 school children. Whether he made the call, 165 Iranian school children were murdered by the United States military on the call at the behest of Donald J. Trump, the pedophile punk, as I call him. He's married to the world's most famous prostitute, thoroughly documented. She was passed around from Prince Andrew to Jeffrey Epstein to Donald Trump. She's nothing but a two-bit whore. This is the truth. Every bit of this is the truth. I'm not trying to run these people down. It serves me no good to run down the president of the country I live in. I live here. I love this country. I grew up in this country. I believed in this country my whole life. And now I got to fly my flag upside down because our country it's done. It's in distress. It's over. The government ruined it. Congress has ruined it. The military's ruined it. FBI, CIA, NSA, you've all ruined it for 340 million Americans that just want to go to work, make some money, pay their bills, go fishing, have a cookout, raise their children, be healthy. That's all. That's all Americans want to do. Go to work and make enough money in 40 hours to be able to live a decent life. Nobody is trying to be a billionaire. Nobody cares about your Rolls Royces and your Ferraris. We're perfectly happy with a Ford or a Chevy that gets us from A to B. We are perfectly happy if we can just work 40 hours a week, go to the grocery store and buy what we choose to buy and not be poisoned or made sick by it. We're perfectly happy if we could work 40 hours and afford to go camping on a weekend. Go by a lake. Not by, but go beside a lake. Camp, fish. Maybe take a trip to see our family members 2 states away without having to take out a bank loan for gas. Or sleep in the car because we can't afford a motel room. How about a place where our children can go to school without being exposed to drag queens in the 1st grade? Or maybe go to a school where they're not having to be run through drills of hiding and locking doors because of shooters, school shooters breaking out. How about living in a country where the government serves the people it's elected to serve? How about that? Let's simplify that. How about I think most Americans, I think 340 million Americans would just like to live in a country where the public servants that are paid by the 340 million Americans who go to work and pay taxes to live here would just like their government to acknowledge them, give them a little respect, maybe make their lives affordable, maybe not sell their children, maybe not lie about raping women, maybe not steal hundreds of millions of dollars. Is that asking too much? Is it asking too much, really? For our government not to steal hundreds of millions of dollars, sell our children and poison us, while making us work 40, 50, 60 hours a week, some of us 2 and 3 jobs, just so we can have a bed to sleep in and a roof over our head. You know, when I was in California and the FBI made me live in a car for 3 years, when they falsified my background, terminated all of my resources, and tried to force me to live in a car, which they did. They made me live in a car for 3 years. To psychologically, emotionally, and financially terrorize me into silence because of state judge Kelly Hansen raping, murdering, and selling children for 16, almost 17 years. I went to the gym every day. I read every day. I prayed every day. I meditated every day. Took notes every day. I've been writing in these books for 8 years. 8 years every day. Read, write, take notes, journal. And I'll never forget when I was in San Diego, there was a lady, because I parked on different streets, but I had my certain streets I parked on by the ocean in San Diego, where I'd watch the sunset on the ocean every night and take my dog for a walk. And there was a lady that would park on the same street I did, and I'd see her, and I knew she was living in her car. You can tell when someone's living in a car. It's obvious. The car is packed down. And one day I spoke to her, and I said, "Excuse me," I said, "why are you living in your car? I see you going to work every day. I see you go to work." I said, "What's..." And she was a nurse. She was a nurse. And she said, "I can't afford an apartment." She said a studio in San Diego is like $2,500. And she goes, "I don't have the credit to get into an apartment, and I couldn't afford the $2,500 if I did. If I did, I wouldn't be able to have a car and insurance or groceries." And a nurse in San Diego, California, could not afford a studio apartment and had to live in her car. And there's a lot of people across the United States of America working full-time, living in their car. Not by choice, not because they're lazy, not because they're stupid, not because they drink or do drugs. Because it's unaffordable. Because our government is a bunch of thieves, rapists, murderers, and liars. That's the extent of it. You know, I work 40 hours a week, give or take. As close to 40 as I can get, rain implementing, if we're working outside. Can't work in the rain. And I make okay money. Okay. I can barely afford to live. Barely. Literally. And it's not because I'm stupid or lazy. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. It's because I'm not a thief. Because I'm not a scumbag, a rapist. Because I tell the truth. I have character, morals, and values. See, people with character, morals, and values are being punished, ostracized. They're being canceled. Go ahead, check across social media. Check across YouTube. Look at the podcasters. Candace Owens has morals, integrity, decency, and honor. They threatened to kill her. They've tried to sue her into bankruptcy. She's not the only one. There's numerous people. And for what? For what? So our government can rape, murder, and sell children and women? This is who we are as a country. This is who we are as a society. It's disgusting. It sickens me. It disgusts me. I have no respect for my government. I'm ashamed to be an American at this point after decades of this. From the Clinton and Lewinsky to Bush and 9/11 to Obama and the LGBTQ to Trump to COVID to Biden to back to Trump. The Chuck Schumers, the Hakeem Jeffries, the Kevin McCarthy's, the Lindsey Grahams. Sick of it. I'm just sick of it. And there's no need. There's really no need. other than people enjoy being evil and they think it's cute, funny, or entertaining. And I think Donald Trump posted that meme of him being Jesus. I think he was mocking this whole country. I think he was mocking Christians. I think he was mocking God. I think he's lashing out because the whole world knows he's a child rapist and there's nothing he can do about it. He has tried for 14 months to get these Epstein files to go away, to get everybody to shut up about the Epstein files. He has held press conferences telling everyone to shut up. He has sent out crony after crony from Pam Bondi to Kash Patel to Caroline Levitt, telling everybody to shut up. Dan Bongino telling everybody to shut up about the rape of children. He has kidnapped the Venezuelan president. He has had ICE terrorizing our streets, murdering innocent Americans in the streets like dogs. He has waged wars, bombing fishing boats in Venezuela, bombing Iran not once but twice. This child rapist has done everything possible to divert and distract from the world knowing he rapes and murders children, period, full stop. And in spite of all of the attacks, in spite of all of the diversions, the distractions, the cutting of the food stamps, the cutting of Medicare, raising of taxes, groceries going up, gas going up, all of that is retaliation. Believe me, I've lived it from the FBI. Same exact tactics. They just punish you until you shut up. They made me live in a car for 3 years with no job, no resources, no food stamps, no assistance, falsified my background, nothing. Just trying to just torture me into silence. And it's a passive-aggressive torture. It's not a hands-on torture. It's not chain you to the wall and whip you. No. No. It's a real subtle, diabolical torture. Like a shadow torture. You know, things start happening, you don't know why. You can't get a job anywhere. Your benefits get cut. Your Medicare gets cut. All of this. Oh, you can't afford the groceries you used to afford anymore. It's psychological, emotional, and financial torture. And all of it has been orchestrated for the sole purpose is to keep the world from knowing that Donald J. Trump is the world's most famous child rapist, married to the world's most famous prostitute, Melania Trump. And in spite of all of it, guess what? The whole world knows, because you can't hide the truth. The whole premise for me making these videos, Truth News, the whole premise, check the premiere story, check the background. It's because I'm sick of people lying. I'm sick of people abusing children and lying about it. I'm sick of good people being made into the bad guy for trying to do the right thing. I am sick of it. We all are. Every time someone tries to stand up and speak out, a Charlie Kirk, a Martin Luther King Jr., a JFK, a Medgar Evers, every time somebody tries to stand up and speak out, they end up murdered or terrorized into silence. The Epstein survivors, God bless them women, still going, 30 years, still going. And you should see some of the things they have been through. The threats, the intimidation, ran off the road. Threats to have their family murdered, threats to have their homes burnt down. Lives destroyed. So they can get away with it. So these psychopaths, these evil demons can get away with it. I'm at the 30-minute mark. I always try to keep my videos at the 30-minute mark. And we're going to close tonight. We're going to still be in Matthew. I always close with a Bible verse. And I just want to, I read this before the show. I read my Bible every single night. It is my rules for life, my rules for living. I do my best to live by it. Obviously, nobody is perfect. But I find this verse to be very fitting considering the circumstances. It's going to be Matthew 10:24. A disciple is not above his teacher, nor a slave above his master. It is enough for the disciple that he become like his teacher, and the slave like his master. If they have called the head of the house Beelzebul, how much more will they malign with members of his household? Therefore do not fear them, for there is nothing concealed that will not be revealed. This is why it's so important. There is nothing concealed that will not be revealed, or hidden that will not be known. What I tell you in the darkness, speak in the light, and what you hear whispered in your ear, proclaim upon the housetops. Do not fear those who kill the body, but are unable to kill the soul, but rather fear him who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. You see, these demons think they can bully, intimidate, and threaten people into silence because, they'll shoot you in the neck in front of the whole world. That's just the body. You still got a soul. You still got a spirit. And mine's not for sale, not for trade, not to be compromised. And if I gotta die protecting my soul, serving my master, Jesus Christ, all because I live in a country that rapes, murders, and sells children, not to mention women, then so be it. I am perfectly at peace with that. I'm gonna die anyway. It doesn't matter. Nobody gets out of life alive. No one. So I would rather die with my soul intact than live and be one of these godless, soulless bags of flesh in the United States government or the intelligence agencies or law enforcement. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to close for tonight. I would like to thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Please ask that you like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Share these videos, and I will see you tomorrow.